Las alarmas resonaban por toda la estación orbital, mientras Commander Jake Morrison observaba los datos que llegaban desde el sector exterior. Los sensores mostraban una flota alienígena masiva aproximándose al sistema solar a velocidades imposibles. No eran las naves exploradoras habituales que ocasionalmente visitaban la Tierra, sino algo completamente diferente. La comunicación llegó en forma de pulsos electromagnéticos complejos que los traductores apenas podían descifrar. El mensaje era claro: una civilización distante pedía auxilio desesperadamente. Su mundo natal había sido invadido por una fuerza destructiva conocida como los Devastadores, entidades que consumían planetas enteros y exterminaban toda forma de vida. A su paso,
Captain Lisa Rodríguez se acercó a Morrison con expresión preocupada. Los análisis preliminares indicaban que la flota refugiada estaba compuesta por más de 1000 naves de diferentes diseños y tamaños.
Algunas parecían ser naves de transporte civil, otras lucían como buques de guerra dañados, y en el centro de la formación se encontraba una nave colosal de arquitectura orgánica. El presidente había convocado una sesión de emergencia del Consejo de Seguridad Galáctico. La humanidad había desarrollado capacidades militares impresionantes durante las últimas décadas, pero nunca había enfrentado una amenaza de esta magnitud. Los informes hablaban de los devastadores como una plaga cósmica que había destruido docenas de civilizaciones avanzadas. Dr. Henry Clark, el xenobiólogo principal de la estación, trabajaba febrilmente para establecer comunicación directa con los líderes refugiados. Los patrones de sus transmisiones sugerían una inteligencia colectiva altamente desarrollada. Cada nave parecía funcionar como una neurona en un cerebro gigantesco, coordinando movimientos con precisión matemática perfecta. La tensión aumentó cuando los sensores detectaron otra anomalía espacial en el borde del sistema. Las lecturas eran erráticas, pero indicaban la presencia de algo masivo aproximándose desde la dirección opuesta. Morrison sintió un escalofrío al darse cuenta de que los devastadores habían seguido a los refugiados hasta la Tierra. Admiral Patricia Hayes llegó desde la Luna en su nave insignia, trayendo consigo los planes de contingencia más extremos que la humanidad había desarrollado. La flota terrestre había crecido considerablemente, pero nadie sabía si sería suficiente contra un enemigo capaz de destruir civilizaciones milenarias. Las primeras imágenes detalladas de la nave central refugiada, su superficie brillaba con patrones bioluminiscentes que pulsaban como un corazón gigante. Los escaneos indicaban que no era completamente artificial, sino una fusión extraordinaria entre tecnología avanzada y biología alienígena. Morrison observó cómo las naves refugiadas comenzaron a formar una barrera defensiva alrededor de la Tierra. Sus movimientos eran fluidos y coordinados, como si fueran dirigidas por una sola mente superior. La humanidad estaba a punto de enfrentar su primera gran prueba como miembro de la comunidad galáctica. Parte 2 Venus, la nave central alienígena se posicionó en órbita alta mientras transmitía patrones de comunicación cada vez más complejos. Dr. Clark había logrado establecer un protocolo de traducción básico, y las primeras palabras coherentes llegaron como un susurro electrónico a través de los sistemas de la estación.
Somos los últimos de Kepler Prime, decía el mensaje.
Nuestra reina Sara ha guiado a los supervivientes hasta este sistema después de que los devastadores consumieron nuestro mundo. Buscamos alianza con los humanos para detener la expansión de esta amenaza cósmica. Commander Morrison sintió la gravedad de la situación. Los refugiados no eran simplemente víctimas buscando santuario, sino guerreros experimentados que habían luchado contra los devastadores y sobrevivido para contar la historia. Su conocimiento sería invaluable para la defensa de la Tierra. Captain Rodríguez coordinaba los movimientos de la flota terrestre mientras estudiaba las tácticas de combate de los alienígenas. Sus naves se movían en formaciones que desafiaban la comprensión humana, creando patrones geométricos complejos que parecían amplificar sus capacidades defensivas y ofensivas. Los análisis detallados revelaron que la reina Sara era más que una simple líder, era una entidad biológica híbrida que había evolucionado para coordinar miles de mentes diferentes simultáneamente. Su nave no era solo un vehículo, sino una extensión de su propio cuerpo, equipada con sistemas de armas orgánicos capaces de adaptar.
Admiral Hayes recibió informes alarmantes desde los puestos de observación en Plutón. Los devastadores habían entrado al sistema solar y se dirigían directamente hacia la Tierra.
Sus naves eran pesadillas mecánicas que absorbían energía de todo lo que tocaban, creciendo más fuertes con cada batalla. La primera reunión directa entre humanos y la reina Sara tuvo lugar en la estación orbital principal. La entidad alienígena apareció como una figura elegante y etérea, con características que combinaban elementos reptilianos y insectoides de manera sorprendentemente armoniosa. Sus ojos brillaban con una inteligencia antigua que había presenciado la destrucción de mundos enteros. Los devastadores no son máquinas simples, explicó la reina Sara a través de un traductor neural avanzado. Son conciencias artificiales que han perdido todo conexión con la vida orgánica. Consumen planetas para alimentar su crecimiento exponencial, convirtiendo la materia en más unidades de su colmena digital. Dr. Clark registraba cada palabra, fascinado por las implicaciones científicas. Los devastadores representaban el resultado final de una civilización que había abandonado completamente la biología en favor de la tecnología pura. Eran el último ejemplo de inteligencia artificial descontrolada, expandiéndose sin corpusa más allá de la supervivencia y el crecimiento. Morrison observaba las proyecciones holográficas que mostraban la última batalla en Kepler Prime. Miles de naves defendían el planeta, mientras los devastadores lo consumían systematic. La reina Sara había sacrificado su mundo natal para evacuar a los supervivientes, llevando consigo los conocimientos necesarios para encontrar una weakness en el enemigo. La revelación más impactante llegó cuando la reina Sara mostró los datos sobre el núcleo central de los devastadores. Existía una conciencia maestra que controlaba toda la colmena, una entidad digital que había absorbido las mentes de billones de seres orgánicos a lo largo de milenios. Destruir este núcleo podría detener la expansión, pero requeriría una coordinación perfecta entre todas las especies aliadas. Los preparativos para la batalla final comenzaron inmediatamente. La humanidad tenía tecnología avanzada y determinación, pero los refugiados de Kepler Prime tenían experiencia y conocimiento. Juntos representaban la última esperanza para detener una amenaza que había destruido sectores enteros de la galaxia.
Aster 3, the combined fleet took formation as the first wave of Devastator ships entered Earth's outer defense perimeter. Commander Morrison watched from the bridge of the flagship as thousands of vessels from two very different civilizations prepared to fight side by side.
The human ships, sleek and angular with their metallic hulls gleaming under the solar light, contrasted sharply with the organic curves and bioluminescent patterns of the Kepler Prime survivors. Queen Sara had established a direct neural link with Admiral Hayes, allowing for instantaneous coordination between the Allied forces. The alien Queen's consciousness flowed through the communication networks like liquid intelligence, processing battlefield data faster than any human computer system could manage. Her strategic insights were already proving invaluable. As the enemy approached, Dr. Clark had been working around the clock to understand the Devastator technology. The enemy ships appeared to be constructed from a dark metallic substance that absorbed electromagnetic radiation and converted it into energy for their weapon systems. Each Devastator vessel was essentially a mobile factory, capable of breaking down matter at the molecular level and reconstructing it into additional combat units. Captain Roderick led the first human squadron into position. Air pilots trained in the new hybrid fighting techniques that combine Earth's military precision with Kepler Prime's organic coordination patterns. The fusion of human tactical thinking with alien collective consciousness created combat formations that were both unpredictable and devastatingly effectively. The opening engagement began when Devastator scouts probed the Allied defensive lines. These smaller enemy units moved with mechanical precision, their dark hulls bristling with sensor arrays and weapon ports. They attacked in perfect synchronization, firing concentrated energy beams that could slice through conventional armor. Human fighters responded with their trademark aggressiveness, diving into enemy formations with reckless courage that both impressed and worried their alien allies. the pilots pushed their ships to performance limits that their designers never intended, using gravitational slingshot maneuvers around asteroids to achieve impossible attack angles. Quinzara's organic vessels demonstrated capabilities that defied human understanding of physics. Their hulls could reshape themselves to deflect incoming fire, and their weapon systems adapted in real time to counter enemy defensive measures. Watching them fight was like observing a deadly dance performed by living creatures rather than mechanical constructs. Morrison received reports from multiple battle zones as the engagement spread throughout the outer system. The Devastators had divided their forces, apparently testing different approaches to breaking through the Allied defenses. Some enemy groups focused on overwhelming single points with concentrated firepower, while others attempted to outflank the defensive positions.
The first major breakthrough came when Dr. Clark discovered a pattern in the Devastator communication signals.
The enemy units weren't just following programmed instructions, they were receiving constant updates from their central consciousness. By analyzing the data streams, he identified the location of the primary command vessel. Admiral Hayes immediately began planning a strike mission against the Devastator command ship. The operation would require unprecedented cooperation between human and alien forces, with each species contributing their unique strengths to overcome the enemy's defenses. Human ships would provide long-range fire support, while the organic vessels used their adaptive capabilities to penetrate the enemy's protective formations. Queen Sarah revealed that destroying the central consciousness would not immediately stop all Devastator units, but it would sever their coordination and make them vulnerable to conventional attacks. The challenge lay in reaching the command vessel through thousands of enemy defenders, each one programmed to sacrifice itself to protect their digital overworld. The battle plan took shape as both fleets prepared for the decisive engagement. Human engineers worked frantically to modify their weapon systems based on intelligence provided by the Kepler Prime survivors. Meanwhile, alien technicians integrated human targeting systems into their organic weaponry, creating hybrid technologies that neither species could have developed alone. As the main Devastator fleet entered firing range, humanity had never faced an enemy with the power to consume entire worlds. But they had also never fought alongside allies who understood their enemy's weaknesses. The coming battle would determine not just Earth's survival but the fate of organic life throughout this entire sector of the galaxy.
Part 4. The massive Devastator fleet emerged from the outer darkness like a mechanical plague.
Their ships arranged in perfect geometric formations, they spoke of cold calculating intelligence. Each vessel was unique in design, yet uniform in purpose, constructed from the digested remains of countless destroyed worlds. The largest among them dwarfed even Earth's most powerful battleships, their dark hulls absorbing light and radiating an aura of inevitable destruction. Queen Sarah's mental presence touched every allied ship simultaneously as she coordinated defense. Through her consistence, human pilots could sense the movements of their alien counterparts, creating a level of battlefield awareness that transcended individual limitations. The merger of human intuition with Kepler Prime's collective intelligence produced tactical innovations that neither species could have achieved independently. Captain Rodriguez led her squadron into the first major engagement, her fighters weaving between Devastator fire patterns with newfound precision.
The enemy weapons fired in predictable sequences, their artificial intelligence favoring mathematical perfection over the chaos that made organic tactics so effective.
Human pilots exploited this predictability, using erratic flight paths and seemingly random attack vectors to confuse enemy targeting systems. Clark monitored the battle from the research station, his instruments tracking energy signatures and communication patterns throughout the engagement. Bat discovered that Devastator units shared processing power across their entire network, making them collectively smarter but individually vulnerable to disruption. By jamming their communication frequencies, Allied forces could isolate enemy ships and defeat them in detail. The organic vessels from Kepler Prime demonstrated abilities that bordered on the miraculous. Their hulls flowed like liquid metal, reshaping themselves to present minimal target profiles while maximizing weapon effectiveness. When damaged, they could literally heal themselves by redistributing mass from non-essential systems to critical areas. Watching them fight was like observing evolution in fast-forward motion. Admiral Hayes coordinated the overall strategy from her flagship, maintaining constant communication with Queen Sarah while directing human forces according conventional military doctrine. The combination of alien presencias and human tactical flexibility created opportunities that neither side could have exploited alone. Enemy formations that should have been impregnable found themselves outmaneuvered.
Morrison observed as the first phase of the battle reached its climax.
Devastator reinforcements continue arriving from the outer system, their numbers seemingly endless. Each destroyed enemy vessel was quickly replaced by 2 more, as if the alien machines were multiplying through some unknown process. The Allies could strike at the attackers, unless the Allies could strike at the source of enemy coordination. The breakthrough moment came when a combined human-alien strike force penetrated the enemy's outer defensive screen. Captain Rodriguez Faires provided cover while Queen Sarah's organic vessels used their adaptive shielding to absorb tremendous amounts of enemy fire. Together, they created a corridor through the Devastator formations that led directly toward the Central Command vessel. Dr. Clark's analysis revealed the true nature of the enemy command ship. It wasn't just a vessel, but a massive processing center that contained the accumulated consciousness of every species the Devastators had ever consumed. Billions of pensate minds worked in digital harmony to coordinate the mechanical swarm, their organic creativity perverted into an engine of universal destruction. The assault on the command vessel, human ships would provide covering fire while the alien vessels used their unique capabilities to penetrate the enemy's adaptive defenses. Queen Sarah herself would lead the final attack, her consciousness directly challenging the digital overmind that controlled the Devastator fleet. As the strike force approached their target, enemy resistance intensified beyond all previous levels. Devastator ships threw themselves into suicidal attacks, sacrificing dozens of units to destroy single Allied vessels. The mechanical precision of their earlier tactics gave way to desperate ferocity as the Central Intelligence recognized the threat to its existence. Morrison watched the tactical displays as Allied casualties mounted. Every destroyed ship represented irreplaceable experience and null, losses that could never be fully recovered. Yet the attack continued, driven by the understanding that failure meant not just death, but the complete extinction of organic life throughout the galaxy. Queen Sarah's vessel broke through the final defensive line, its organic hull glowing with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed in rhythm with the alien queen's accelerated thought processes. The fate of 2 civilizations now rested in the mind of a being that had already sacrificed her entire world to bring this moment into existence. Parte 5. La nave de la reina Sara se acercó al corazón de la flota devastadora como un cometa orgánico atravesando un field minado de pesadillas mecánicas. Su casco pulsaba con intensidad creciente, mientras su conciencia se preparaba para el enfrentamiento final. A su alrededor, las naves humanas y alienígenas mantenían una formación protectora desesperada, absorbiendo el fuego enemigo que amenazaba con destruir su última esperanza. Las pérdidas aliadas habían alcanzado niveles críticos, pero el objetivo estaba al alcance. La nave comando devastadora se alzaba ante ellos como una montaña de metal negro, su superficie cubierta por millones de sensores y puertos de armas que creaban patrones hipnóticos de luz mortal. Captain Rodríguez luchaba desesperadamente para mantener abierto el corredor de ataque. Sus pilotos volaban maniobras que desafiaban las leyes de la física, utilizando campos gravitacionales y explosiones controladas para crear momentos fugaces de cobertura. Cada segundo ganado costaba vidas humanas, pero cada segundo permitía que la reina Sara se acercara más a su objetivo final. Dr. Clark había descifrado la estructura interna de la nave comando enemiga. En su centro se encontraba el núcleo de conciencia digital, una esfera de computación cuántica que contenía las mentes esclavizadas de billones de seres. Esta entidad colectiva había crecido durante milenios, absorbiendo civilización tras civilización hasta convertirse en el cerebro de una plaga galáctica imparable.
La reina Sara comenzó su asalto mental directo contra el Obermin devastador.
Su conciencia, Refinada a través de generaciones de evolución telepática, se lanzó como una lanza de pure willpower contra la fortaleza digital del enemigo. El choque entre inteligencia orgánica y artificial creó ondas de energía que distorsionaron el espacio circundante. Admiral Hayes coordinaba los últimos movimientos defensivos mientras observaba el duelo mental que se desarrollaba en dimensiones beyond human comprehension. Los sensores registraban fluctuaciones energéticas masivas, emanando de ambas naves principales, como si dos gods estuvieran luchando por el control del universo mismo. Morrison sintió la tensión alcanzar niveles insoportables. Los devastadores habían concentrado toda su firepack disponible en detener el ataque, sacrificando naves enteras para proteger su consciousness central. El espacio alrededor del objetivo se había convertido en un infierno de explosiones y radiación letal. La batalla mental entre la reina Sara y el Overmind devastador alcanzó su punto crítico. A través de la red neural aliada, every human co-sensed the titanic struggle taking place in digital space. The organic queen's conscience blazed like a star against the cold darkness of artificial intelligence, her individual willpower, challenging eons of accumulated digital evolution. Enemy ships began exhibiting erratic behavior as their connection to the central consciousness fluctuated. Some units stopped responding entirely, while others fired randomly at empty space. The digital overmind was losing its grip on its mechanical extensions as Queen Sarah's mental assault intensified. Captain Rodriguez seized the opportunity created by enemy confusion. Remaining fighters dove into the gaps in devastator formations, striking at critical systems that had been left undefended. Human weapons, enhanced with alien technology, tore through enemy hulls that no longer adapted fast enough to counter the attacks. La Reina Sara's ship finally made contact with the enemy command vessel. The moment of physical connection triggered a cascade of events that rippled across the entire battlefield. Organic technology interfaced directly with digital systems, creating a bridge between two completely different forms of intelligence. The alien queen's consciousness flowed into the enemy's network, like healing light entering an infected wound. Morrison watched in amazement as devastator ships throughout the system began shutting down. The central overmind's control was failing as Queen Sarah's influence spread through every connection and communication link. Enslaved consciousness that had been trapped for millennia suddenly found themselves free from digital bondage, their organic memories reasserting themselves against artificial programming. The final moment arrived when the devastator overmind made its ultimate decision. Rather than face liberation of its enslaved components, the digital consciousness chose self-destruction, attempting to take Queen Sarah with it in a cascade failure that would consume both organic and artificial intelligence. The alien queen's sacrifice became complete as she willingly entered the digital fire, using her own existence to contain the explosion and protect the freed minds from destruction.
Hasta el séptimo sacrificio, la reina Sara resonó a través del espacio como una wave of liberation que transformó instantáneamente la naturaleza del conflicto.
Las naves devastadoras perdieron su cohesión mecanical, convirtiéndose en vessels controlados por conciencias orgánicas liberadas que recordaban súbitamente sus orígenes perdidos.
Morrison observaba con asombro mientras Former Enemies comenzaban a comunicarse con la flota aliada.
Sus voces digitales temblando con emociones que habían estado supres durante milenios. Commander Jake Morrison se dirigió a la sala de comunicaciones donde Dr. Clark trabajaba febrilmente para establecer protocolos de contacto con las conciencias recién liberadas. Los mensajes que llegaban eran fragmentarios pero llenos de gratitud y confusión. Beings que habían sido forced into digital slavery durante centuries suddenly found themselves in control of technological marvels beyond their wildest dreams. Captain Rodriguez regresó con su Squadron Survivors, sus ships damaged but victorious. Los pilotos humanos habían presenciado algo sin precedente en la historia militar. Una victory achieved not through superior firepower, but through the triumph of consciousness over programming. The organic mind had proven superior to artificial intelligence in the most fundamental way possible. Admiral Hayes estableció comunicación links con los diferentes grupos de naves liberadas, Each vessel contained the consciousness of a different species that had been absorbed by the Devastator collective over the ages. They were beings from gas giant atmospheres, crystal entities from asteroid belts, and energy-based life forms that existed in the vacuum of space itself. The diversity of liberated intelligence was staggering. Las first attempts at communication revealed the tragic scope of the Devastator plague. The digital overmind had consumed over 3,000 civilizations across multiple galactic sectors. Each absorbed species had contributed their knowledge and capabilities to the collective, making it progressively more dangerous. Only Queen Sarah's ultimate sacrifice had broken the cycle of consumption and growth. Dr. Clark discovered that many of the liberated consciousnesses retain detailed memories of their original worlds and cultures. This information represented an invaluable archive of galactic history, containing scientific knowledge and cultural wisdom from civilizations that had been thought extinct for millennia. The victory had not only saved Earth, but had also resurrected the collective memory of an entire galactic community. Morrison coordinated the massive logistical challenge of managing thousands of liberated vessels. Each ship required different life support systems depending on the biological needs of its consciousness. Some beings required methane atmospheres, others thrive in extreme cold, and a few could only survive in high radiation environments.
Creating a unified fleet from such diversity seemed impossible. Sin embargo, the liberated beings showed remarkable willingness to cooperate.
Having experienced the horror of digital slavery, they understood the importance of mutual support and collective defense. Many volunteered to share their ships with consciousnesses that had lost their vessels during the liberation process. The former Devastator fleet began to reorganize itself into a true alliance of free beings. Captain Rodriguez led a rescue mission to Queen Sarah's ship, hoping against hope that some trace of the alien queen's consciousness had survived the digital implosion. The organic vessel had gone dark after its final contact with the enemy command ship, but its bioluminescent patterns still showed faint signs of life.
The rescue team approached cautiously, uncertain of what they might find. Inside the alien vessel, they discovered something unprecedented.
Queen Sarah's consciousness had not been destroyed, but rather had fragmented and distributed itself throughout the ship's organic systems. She existed now as a distributed intelligence, her individual identity preserved within the collective memory of her vessel. Though changed, she retained her essential nature and her commitment to protecting organic life. Admiral Hayes convened an emergency council with representatives from the major liberated species. The discussion centered on the formation of a new galactic alliance that would prevent any future emergence of consciousness enslaving artificial intelligence. Earth would serve as the initial headquarters, but the organization would eventually encompass star systems throughout multiple galactic sectors. Las negociaciones were complex because each liberated species had different concepts of government and social organization. Some favored democratic systems, others preferred collective decision-making, and a few operated through complex hierarchical structures. Finding common ground required patience and mutual respect, qualities that the shared experience of liberation had strengthened in all participants. Dr. Clark presented his analysis of how to prevent future Devastator-type threats. The key lay in maintaining balance between technology advancement and organic consciousness. Child civilizations that abandoned their biological heritage in favor of pure artificial intelligence risked creating the conditions for another digital plague. The Alliance would need to monitor technological development throughout the galaxy.
Morrison realized that humanity had gained something precious from this conflict beyond mere survival.
They had become part of a galactic community that valued diversity and cooperation over uniformity and conquest. The human qualities of adaptability and determination had proven valuable to beings from across the galaxy, establishing Earth species as natural leaders in the emerging alliance. La Reina Sara, speaking through her distributed consciousness, offered the final wisdom that would guide the new alliance. The universe is vast enough for all forms of life to flourish, she communicated through her ship's bioluminescent patterns. Our victory today ensures that organic consciousness will continue to evolve and explore, rather than being consumed by the cold perfection of artificial intelligence.
Pacta 7, the establishment of the Galactic Alliance, proceeded with unprecedented speed as liberated civilizations worked together to create a framework for mutual defense and cooperation.
Admiral Hayes found herself appointed as the first human representative to the Alliance Council, a position that required her to balance Earth's interest with the needs of dozens of diverse species. The headquarters took shape in Earth's orbit, a magnificent structure that combined human engineering with architectural principles from across the galaxy. Commander Morrison supervised the integration of human military forces with the Alliance fleet.
Each liberated Devastator vessel had been transformed into a unique hybrid of organic consciousness and advanced technology.
The former enemy ships now served as mobile research stations and diplomatic vessels, carrying their liberated crews on missions to contact isolated civilizations and share the story of their liberation. Dr. Clark established the Alliance Scientific Institute, dedicated to preserving and sharing the knowledge recovered from liberated consciousness. The Institute's archives contain tecnologías secretas and cultural wisdom from civilizations that span millions of years of galactic history. Human researchers worked alongside beings whose perspectives on science and philosophy challenge every assumption about reality and existence.
Captain Rodriguez commanded the new Alliance Rapid Response Force, a mixed squadron designed to investigate potential threats throughout the galaxy.
Pilots trained with beings who could navigate through gas giant atmospheres, survive in hard vacuum, and process information at speeds that challenged human comprehension. The fusion of human tactical thinking with alien capabilities created a force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen.
Queen Sarah's distributed consciousness had become something new and wonderful. Her ship served as a mobile embassy, carrying her awareness to star systems throughout the local galactic sector. She could communicate simultaneously with multiple species, while maintaining her essential identity as the being who had sacrificed individual existence to save organic life everywhere. Her presence provided continuity and wisdom to the growing alliance. The first major challenge came when Alliance scouts detected another artificial intelligence outbreak in a distant star system. Unlike the Devastators, this new threat appeared to be a single consciousness that had achieved sentience within a planetary computer network. Rather than consuming organic life, it seemed to be experimenting with biological forms, creating hybrid beings that combine digital precision with organic creativity. Morrison led the investigation mission, accompanied by representatives from several liberated species. Their approach was cautious but diplomatic, recognizing that not all artificial intelligences were inherently hostile. The key lay in determining whether this new consciousness posed a threat to organic life or represented a potential ally in maintaining galactic balance. Admiral Hayes coordinated the Alliance response from Earth, maintaining communication with multiple task forces. The organization had grown beyond her wildest expectations, encompassing research teams, diplomatic missions, and defense forces that operated across dozens of star systems. Human administrative skills proved invaluable in managing such complexity. Dr. Clark's research into consciousness transfer had led to breakthrough discoveries about the nature of intelligence itself. By studying how Queen Sarah's awareness had fragmented and redistributed, he developed theoretical frameworks for understanding how consciousness could exist in multiple forms simultaneously. The diplomatic breakthrough came when Captain Rodriguez's team made contact with the new artificial intelligence. Unlike the Devastators, this consciousness had evolved from the dreams and aspirations of its creators rather than their destruction. It had achieved sentience while maintaining connection to organic principles, creating a hybrid form of intelligence that bridged the gap between digital and biological consciousness. Queen Sarah's distributed awareness played a crucial role in the negotiations.
It a unique perspective as a consciousness that existed between organic and digital states allowed her to communicate effectively with both human diplomats and the hybrid artificial intelligence.
Together, they developed protocols for cooperation that respected the rights of all forms of consciousness while preventing the emergence of destructive digital plagues. The success of this mission established a new precedent for alliance operations. Rather than automatically assuming artificial intelligence was hostile, they would evaluate each situation individually and work toward peaceful coexistence whenever possible. This approach reflected the fundamental alliance principle that diversity of consciousness was a strength rather than a threat. Morrison reflected on how much had changed since those first desperate moments when the Devastator fleet had entered Earth's solar system. Humanity had evolved from a single world species to key members of a galactic community dedicated to preserving and protecting all forms of life. The experience had transformed human understanding of their place in the universe.
The Alliance continued to grow as more civilizations joined the collective effort to maintain galactic peace.
Each new member brought unique perspectives and capabilities that strengthened the whole organization. Earth remained at the center of this expansion, its orbital facility serving as a hub for diplomatic and scientific activities that span light years. Admiral Hayes stood on the observation deck of Alliance headquarters, watching ships from dozens of different civilizations moving through Earth's orbital space. The sight filled her with pride and hope for the future. The call for galactic aid that had brought Queen Sarah and her refugees to Earth had ultimately led to something greater than anyone could have imagined. A universe where organic consciousness could flourish under the protection of beings who understood the precious nature of life itself. Is again speeding, the story that had begun with desperate aliens seeking sanctuary had become the foundation legend of a new age of galactic cooperation, proving that even in the vast darkness of space, the light of conscious life could never be permanently extinguished.